Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nate Matthews Leader, and I'm joined by my co-host,
Maggie and Tim, and we are the Inside Agents. On this weekly podcast, we'll be discussing hot topics around football and the sports industry from two agents' perspectives.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Inside Agents first podcast. This is me, Nate Matthews Leader, and I'm joined with my co-host,
Maggie and Tim.
and we are the Inside Agents. For our first episode, we'll be discussing the agent business, what it means to be an agent, how we met, a little bit of our background, and why we do this. So, first and foremost, Maggie, what is an agent?
Well, there's several ways you can define an agent, but if we're talking within our world, our business, soccer, of course, in North America, or football in other continents and countries like Europe and Africa and those places. An agent is really defined as someone that is really there to negotiate an employment contract. So mainly for a footballer to be able to negotiate their contract, whether it's with a new club or whether it's to come in and represent them within a transfer. But my overall definition of an agent is someone that really handles everything. I mean, not just from the negotiations of contracts and making sure their client has, work, has a job, but just overall, from even stepping in to handle marketing sometimes and even public relations. So it's kind of like the all-around piece, the glue that holds everything together for the client.
I agree 100%. An agent literally does everything for the player off the field. So if a player needs boot deals, we take care of that. Like Maggie was saying, the marketing aspect the agent usually does. And also, many agents act as scouts as well, because a lot of people don't understand that an agent's job is to find their players the best situation. So that entails looking at clubs, what clubs need, talking to directors, being the bridge between the player and the club. That's our main goal. And our main goal is to always find the best contract. So to do that, you need to have a good scouting eye, and you most definitely need to stay aware of the soccer news around, because you're going to act as the player's representative on the business side of things. So Absolutely. I'm just going to jump into it and give you guys my bio. I started this football agency because I really loved the game. I played the game growing up. I graduated university, and I thought, wow, since I love the game, I majored in finance, and I did a few marketing jobs with Nike, Off-White, Adidas, and I had a good scouting eye. The first thing that I did, I got my FA scouting license, and then I decided that I'm going to go and start my own sports agency. I did this. I'm located in Toronto, Canada, and I signed my first few clients. I was able to secure a couple of contracts from MLS clubs overseas. I also helped players get trials overseas, and I've just been following the game as a scout as well. I've scouted for clubs in Europe, clubs in Africa. I've scouted for clubs in MLS. So that is a little bit of my background. We're going to get more into it as the podcast continues, but Maggie, give the folks a little bit more on you.
Sure. I mean, and Nate, I always tell you, your bio is impressive to be doing what you're doing, and it's amazing. And so for me, my bio is a little bit different, of course, but mainly because I started within football in a different route. I took a different route going in, very unconventional path. I started years ago in the music business, and, from just working on the sponsorship, partnership side, marketing, some digital marketing, and, working for different record labels and working with different talent, going into television and kind of exploring that side, and then going back into music, and then from music, really being able to finally break into sports. And For me, even, breaking into sports was big because growing up I'm from New York City. Growing up in New York City, I played basketball, and that was my thing. That was my sport. I didn't really aspire to be on the business side of basketball, but I knew I wanted to play at some point. And then, of course, as you grow up, you switch through these phases of careers and what you want to do. And so I was playing soccer recreationally with family and friends. And I always wondered what it was like to be in that space. And once I got into the sports industry and I broke in, my first real experience in sports was like working on boxing and doing sponsorships for a boxing promotions company. And then from there, going on to working for the mecca of all arenas, Madison Square Garden. So seeing things from a basketball lens, but trying to figure out how do I still get into those other avenues and areas within sports. And so, of course, getting some experience within like the tennis association, and then from there, finally getting my way into soccer by doing some work with MLS as well as FIFA on their partnership side through one of their partners, Coca-Cola. And so that was awesome for me to kind of see from that lens. But what I was noticing was that there just weren't many people that look like us. So there weren't many minorities that I was seeing that was in a position where they were either a player's agent or they were maybe a sporting director. So I was curious to, explore. And I always said, well, if this is something that I want to do, the one area that I definitely would want to make my mark in would be on the player agent side. And so that brings me to now running Trinity 3 Agency. So we have a players representation division. We now have our first big client, who's a USL footballer, a USL championship footballer, and also being able to still touch, other areas within football. So working with different footballers from like the EPL and other leagues overseas. So it's exciting. It's really
I
exciting.
must say, Maggie has one of the most impressive resumes I've come across in sports in general,
No
guys.
way.
Maggie is very humble, but the players that she has worked with, a lot of
Oh
agents and
boy.
people in the soccer industry in the world would be amazed at the work she has done with Trinity 3
No,
Agency
I'm
for
I'm
sure.
I'm I'm impressed every day by your work, Nate, and I tell you that. And you have been my rock. When we talk about, just agents, and as we talk about this later on, in the future of the podcast, when we talk about networking and just really having someone that you can call, that's like what you've become for me with this transition from a marketing side to now a player agent side. So I'm grateful.
Most definitely. So, guys, this is actually how we met. Maggie and I are big on the social media. We
Yes,
are on LinkedIn
yes,
24/7. So it
yes.
just so happens that Daniel Gee was running an agent slash sports law seminars through his YouTube channel. So for me, as an agent, it's always good to market yourself.
Hmm.
I would ask Daniel Gee certain questions and I would answer to certain questions that were asked in the podcast. And then one day I was on LinkedIn and I received a message from Maggie. And there was something about Maggie. It was like, man, I definitely need to work with this woman. So we responded, we connected, and it just so happens, as Maggie was talking about networking, I planned to have a Zoom conference with all of the agents that I work with, whether they're from Africa, whether they're from Europe via England, Switzerland, whether they're from New York, Florida, Texas. We just had a big agent conference, and I was like, man, Maggie, you definitely need to join our conference.
Yes,
So
I
then,
was I was honored to be a part of that, and still grateful for that opportunity because there's some amazing people within that group, man. Amazing.
yes, literally. So Maggie joined in, and once everyone in the group heard the great things she's done around sports, not just football, but everything that Trinity 3 has done, everyone was astonished and they're like, man, this woman is a force to be reckoned with in the business, because a lot of a lot of people don't understand that the easiest part for a player is just playing the sport. They've
Mm-hmm.
grown up, they've played the sport their whole life. The hardest part in the industry is to find somebody who can market you so well and get you the sponsorship deals that you can do. And Maggie has pulled off some deals that I hope to accomplish in my lifetime.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. There's a package, right? And it's kind of like we were talking about in the beginning, as far as what an agent does and who they are, and they're the glue to everything, because you just have to know, okay, it's not just getting my client their contract, but there's a whole layer. If I want my client to excel, I have to make sure, I am getting them the right endorsement deals, right? So like you mentioned earlier, Nate, about boot deals, and whether it's apparel situations, or it's maybe a specific food that they like, that your client may be heavy into fitness, like really into fitness, to where their diet revolves around that. So maybe there's a certain type of dish or food that they eat. So it's really just kind of like being in tune and knowing who your client is. And for me, this is, I can honestly say, with my experience, this is the one sport, the one area that it's it's such a great space to be in, because I'm seeing more and more people like myself who are just hungry and motivated, and we're willing to, you know, do it all to make sure that, our clients are good, and we're doing it because we love it. We love the game, we love the sport, but we also want to make a difference and make a huge impact. And so, yeah.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, I'm going to follow up with what Maggie was saying, because a lot of our listeners, when they hear about football agents, they think, oh, this agent just moved this player and he got him a big deal. The agent just took his money and left. So, our goal is to give you guys a better insight on the agent business, because that is far from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the agents I know, they work 24 hours, 7 days a week, talking to clubs, making sure their players are okay, dealing with their marketing, social media, making sure their players are fine, dealing with families as well. So the transfers that you guys see is maybe even less than 10% of what agents actually do on a daily basis. So go ahead,
No, no,
Maggie.
no. I was just gonna say, there's a lot that goes into that transfer too, though, Nate. Like, there's a lot. Like,
Yeah,
I mean, I can't wait till we start discussing the basics, right? But like, what really goes into these deals, and I mean, people would be probably shocked at how much time it takes, and that you really have to
and the
make
clauses.
sacrifices. Yes, like, you have to make sacrifices, because it's not just the player, but the agents, the attorneys. I mean, sometimes if one clause doesn't work for one party, you got to go back and change. I mean, yeah,
And
like,
then
it's a
you
lot.
also you also have to keep in mind that you have players that even a club, although a club may be interested, the player isn't interested.
Absolutely.
A player might get cold feet at the last minute and decide, hey, I was really interested in moving to this club, but I don't want to. So the deals that most people see that go through have been going on for weeks, if not months, of going back and forth with negotiations before it is put to pen and paper, and then the reports come out that a certain transfer happened for millions and millions of dollars, and agents collected millions and millions of dollars, when, to be fair, most of our job really entails the scouting aspect, making sure our players are okay. And most agents that I know get paid through the transaction of a player moving, and not a day-to-day basis where people can say, okay, bi-weekly I'm getting a check. Agents wait 6 months, a year maybe, before they actually receive any money for all the work that they put in. So it's really an investment into your players and their careers. It's not really an investment for the agent himself,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
especially here in North
Oh yeah,
America. It's not
it's
as
different.
lucrative as people see. it's a very hard industry to break into and crack. So our goal essentially is to give you guys a better insight on the agent's perspective on all topics around sports, not just from agents. We plan to have people, whether it's footballers, whether it's players who work, whether it's people who work with brands, media, just everybody around the sport to give their insight on what it's like working with agents, what it's like working with players, just everything around the football and sporting
Absolutely.
industry.
Yeah. And definitely just, and eventually too, we, we'll talk to other agents in similar sports and kind of like their experience of what it's like to be an agent, whether it's in the NFL or it's in Major League Baseball, and kind of comparing the two of being a football agent, versus being an NFL agent, or even being an agent in North America or Canada versus being an agent in, like, Europe or even Africa or Australia. So yeah, we have a lot of exciting topics to cover. And I know pretty much just like everything that Nate said about why we're doing this, because even though we both kind of shared with you guys our, entrance into the field, it's still a lot that goes into it, and it's not easy. And we really want to create that space where, after us and years to come in the future, there's more, you see more minorities wanting to be an agent, a player agent, whether that's a female actually deciding, hey, I want to be a player agent within, football or soccer, or you're just finding more of us wanting to be maybe attorneys, sporting directors, etc.
And maybe also what Maggie is bringing up, maybe more visibility in the
Yeah,
agency as well, because there have been a lot of players who don't necessarily know where to go to find agents that they can trust. So we're hoping that with this podcast, after people listen and hear all the great things that we're doing and the way we work, that we can give players avenues, whether it's with Trinity 3 Agency or Leader
mm-hmm.
Sports Management Group, where they can look and search and find a good resource and great representation in the business.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you guys for listening to the Inside Agents podcast. This was our first episode. I hope you guys are looking forward to tuning in and catching a lot of more exciting hot topics within sports and football from me, Nate Matthews Leader,
Maggie
and
and
my
Tim,
co-host.
and we would love to share information on how you guys can get in contact with us. So our Twitter as well as Instagram handles are the Inside Agents, and feel free to like one of our posts, to retweet, share a tweet with us, or share any type of information that you feel you would even want us to maybe one day discuss. Or you can even send in some topics that you guys are interested in. And feel free to connect with us. You could also connect with me personally. Mine is Maggie.intim on Instagram and Maggie_intim on Twitter. And Nate.
You can definitely reach me through www.leadersmg.com. You can find my personal Instagram, which is Nate Leader SMG as well. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, search my name, Nathaniel Matthews Leader, and I will definitely
Yes,
be
and
there.
also too, feel free to subscribe to our website, the Inside Agents. That's where you'll find more information about us. It also lets our kind of like our weekly schedule of when our next episode is coming. And we thank you guys
Perfect.
for tuning in to the Inside Agents
Yep. Look forward to seeing you guys next
next
week.
week.